we could just talk and, yeah, anyway, I better get on board here. Good morning and welcome to the Curry County Board of Commissioners meeting, Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. We're gonna stand, I'm gonna call to order this meeting. We're gonna stand, and I asked a friend of mine from Brookings, Dale Connolly, is gonna lead us in a word of prayer. Dale, if you'd come to the pulpit and, or the podium. And then after that, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Go ahead, sir.
Father, it's a privilege to be here, people, and Lord, to be at this meeting that I've never been before. Lord, I'm grateful that you set up government to lead us to things that are profitable for us, Lord. And I just pray for this meeting today, that it'd be a blessing to everyone, Lord, as we find ourselves in difficult times. Thank you, Lord, for our commissioners and for those who serve here, Lord, in this county. And we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Dale. Join me, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty, thank you, folks. Let's have the amendment approval of the agenda. So this
1 minute, Mr. Chair.
Okay, real quick, 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the National PTSD Awareness Month, June, for the United States of America. Quick paragraph here to give us just a little bit of background. We may want to discuss it further on at our June 22nd, 2022 meeting. National PTSD Awareness Month is observed in June, and it ushers in an array of awareness campaigns run for the benefit of PTSD survivors. PTSD, which stands for Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, occurs in people after they have experienced a particularly traumatic event like war, violent physical, sexual, verbal assault, accidents, and so forth. Symptoms include depression, anxiety, nightmares, paranoia, insomnia, disturbing thoughts, and much more. Many people recover from PTSD after a few days, weeks, or months. Yet for others, the recovery road might mean 1 year or more. This mental disorder is highly treatable, but due to the lack of knowledge around it as well as the stigma attached to seeking mental help, many choose to ignore the problem and suffer through it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. So now we will attack the agenda and get our markers out here, and or we can amend it, or we can approve it, or we can approve as amended. Gentlemen, what's your?
Oh, Mr. Chair, I have a few that I think we need to address. Okay. The first one is on the Auditor Proposal. I just have a couple questions I'm sure Council Polk can answer for us. And I could ask those now. We could leave it on consent agenda, or we could pull it. That's number one.
Okay, on what's the, what?
5F.
5F.
Excuse me, 5F.
Oh, the Audit Proposal.
On Audit Proposal.
Okay. What's the pleasure? Anthony?
I think if we're going to discuss that, we should pull it and put it
on
yep.
in action
L?
discussion.
Yep.
Okay.
And the other one
Make
is?
it 6L.
6L.
And I have a comment on 5C and 5D, new hires.
Okay.
I could just do that really quickly now if you like, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
You know, these are on the parks, that's not coming out of the general fund. Neither is the the new hire for seasonal parks assistants. So I just want the public to know we're not going back on our general commitment not to have new hires. It's because the general fund, these are self-funded.
Yeah.
So I just want the public to know that.
Litter Patrol and
ODOT.
Yep.
ODOT is funding it. Yes, thank you. And then I have also on the supplemental budget, just a comment that was not due to any misspending or unforeseen things. It's really a housekeeping thing, and
okay.
it's very minor for those three departments.
Okay. So how about other than moving the F to L, what are we going to do anything in action discussion items?
So 6G, Consolidation Special Districts. In the packet, it says the file's attached. Nothing's attached except a sentence. And that's the same thing, Mr. Chair, for 6H, the Finance Director. I'd like to pull those. I see no reason to go to first to special districts. If we want to consolidate the fire departments, we can talk about that later today on one of my agenda items, which is ARP funding for our rural volunteer fire departments. But if they want to do this, and I think there's been some encouragement, then they can bring it to us, and we can. Otherwise, we have no authority to bring this before the voters.
Okay, so
that would be poll consolidation of special districts, 6G. Yes, number one.
Chris?
So these are both my items, and the first one is the consolidation of the districts, and Commissioner Boyce may not know, but this is a discussion item. It's not an action item. And what I'm trying to do is inform the board of some things that have already happened. He says if it's something that they want to do, they can bring that to us. Well, as this board knows, I've been proactive in this, so I'd like to leave it on to discuss it because there's been some great strides taken in it already. So it's just information for the public and the board on a consolidation that's already happening.
Yeah.
But it's an incomplete agenda item.
It's not an incomplete. I don't say files attached. That's something that's on the AGRS blank form.
Okay, I've always recognized it. Signal that you have additional information.
When I mark it as a discussion, it's just a discussion. As you've known, since you've known me, I don't put pages and pages of information. It's something to, when we're just discussing it, to bring it up and discuss it.
But however, anytime I've had an incomplete, which has been very rare, agenda item, it's been kicked out. So I would like to have some pre-information for the public and as a board what the general item, the idea is here.
Well, I think
it's pretty self-explanatory.
I'm happy with the discussion.
Discussion,
yes.
Discussion only. It's not an action item, so okay. And the other one, Court?
Is the finance director position, and that's something that we need to talk about. We've got a finance director that's leaving this week.
Yeah.
2 more days. Yeah. And how we're going to approach that. So I don't know that it needed a bunch of documentation added to the
it's just
to a discussion. Yeah. It's just a discussion of what we're going to do to deal with the finance director's position, how he's been treated and all that, why he's leaving, all that. So
how he's been treated. You think that's
why he's leaving, how he's been treated.
Are you going to speak for him then?
No, he can speak for himself. I'm just letting you know that's why he says he's leaving.
So you have no information attached to this?
Go ahead. That's all it is. It's a
discussion.
It's a discussion
item.
This
will serve no good purpose in my view, Mr. Chair.
And I will be on top of that and be ready to knock it in the head if it gets to that point.
I cry easy, just so you know.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
I can kick it out quicker than that cat can lick its butt. I don't know if that's it. Can I say that from here?
No.
But it's pretty quick. It's pretty quick.
So I have no changes. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just 1 second. Yeah, real quick. For the public hearings at 11, we had noticed the 4-H OSU extension service budget hearing at 11:30, but in the newspapers we said it was going to be at 11.
Okay.
It should only take 2 or 3 minutes, so I was hoping we could move C to the front of the line there.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm good.
Okay. And then also for executive session, I'd just like to add ORS 1926602E to conduct deliberations with person designated to negotiate real property.
Okay.
Those are my 2 things. Thank you.
All righty. I think we have an agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Been moved and seconded to approve this agenda. All in favor say yes.
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 Motion carries 3-0. This is the point where you guys get to talk. So public comments. Mary Rowe is first. And if there's anybody here that wants to make a public comment but didn't do one of these slips, they're in the door. If you want to do it and get, while we have 3, and if you want to be part of that, you know how to do it. So.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mary. Thank you.
Wow, I've been looking for this forever.
You've been looking at it already?
No, looking for it.
Oh, I got it from Renee yesterday.
Wow, and, this is awesome.
It's Curry County option levy measures since 1990. It's a summary of what we've done and how it's worked. I'm Mary Rowe. I'm here to comment on the proposed budget. Given that the public hearing about the budget may start at an uncertain time and that my disability prevents me from being here long, I am speaking now. I watched the budget meetings, but the audio was not working for much of the final May 16th meeting when crucial decisions were made. Despite commendable detailed scrutinizing by the Budget Committee of each department's budget and resulting cuts, the recommended county government budget is not acceptable. I am therefore recommending a no vote today on the proposed county budget. My main reason for recommending a no vote is the overuse and partial misuse of the American Rescue Plan or ARP funds to cover part of the county's approximate $5.8 million deficit, most of which was not caused by a loss of revenue due to the COVID pandemic, but rather due to the failure of the County Board of Commissioners to generate adequate revenue. This has been an ongoing failure before the pandemic, with insufficient efforts by the BOC over the past years to develop a plan, even after a promise a year ago to work diligently on generating revenue, after last year's budget was initially voted down by 2 county commissioners. As a result, about $1.2 million of ARP funds, last I was able to hear the audio of the last budget meeting, will be used to compensate for inadequate revenue, rather than, quote, lost revenue due to the pandemic, unquote. Myself and hopefully others will be submitting complaints to the overseers of the ARP funds about this misuse of part of the ARP funds. There is also the unethical diversion of funds that the BOC set up an advisory board to recommend the allocation of to community organizations that painstakingly filled out applications created by the members of the advisory board, whose members generously donated their time and effort. These nonprofits have been and are helping our most vulnerable citizens to survive the many effects of the COVID virus in our community. But then, shortly thereafter, when our county finance director gave his opinion that the county government could keep a huge portion of the funds, the BOC ignored the earlier commitment to that allocation process without any apology. Regarding the taxes considered by the Budget Committee, the consumption tax favored by the Budget Committee would have to be developed and written for publication by August 19th, and then submitted to the county clerk's office by September 8th. We do not have time to do that, nor would there be time for RFPs for a marketing firm to be put out, for a marketing firm to advise us, and for that advice to be acted upon regarding educating our citizens. An income tax surcharge for the county has been developed by a group of concerned citizens in time for the November ballot. And I hope that our BOC will consider using it or any tools in our collective toolbox to quickly generate revenue. I am also concerned about the cost of contracting with a marketing firm, which may be substantial based upon how much we paid the last marketing firm around 2010. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gordon Clay, rocking the tie-dye today, and got some pent-up thoughts, he says here.
I do. For the record, my name is Gordon Clay from Brookings, Oregon. Some pent-up thoughts. I'm disappointed that the county hasn't acknowledged support for approximately 1,600 Curry County citizens, as June is LGBT Pride Month. I have good lesbian, gay, trans, and heterosexual friends in Curry and Del Norte counties who I feel honored to be called their friend. We all actually have a friend who is gay, bi, or trans. At church, at work, in the animal clubs, in the VFW, in your neighborhood, and maybe even in your own household. You may not know their preference, often because they don't feel safe or comfortable coming out to you and don't want to lose your friendship. It's more than just gay, bi, and straight, however. In fact, 1 in 1,600 births do not carry 2 X chromosomes, female, or 1 X and 1 Y chromosome, male. Also, 1 in every 100 births are children whose bodies differ from the standard male or female forms at birth, and a group generally referred to as intersex. In actuality, there are at least 23 different biological sexual human types. They're not unnatural, not evil, not perverse, just very special people. June is also International Men's Month. I have a calendar on the largest website in the world that talks about a different men's issues each day during June and shares a book on the subject. It can be found at menstuff.org/calendar/INT Men's Month 22.html. County housing issues. I couldn't get through this massive document, but however, I am very supportive of keeping up to date on these kind of issues and preparing for the future. And I hope this offers individuals and home builders positive ordinances for tiny houses with or without wheels, as well as 3D printed homes, so that an individual could buy one or land currently used for a golf course could be converted into large income-producing communities like what was done up in Walport and in Palm Springs with the golf courses there. Taxing districts. Taxing proposals to fund county law enforcement have failed every time. It's more than the citizens of Curry County are wanting to fund. If a special tax district was proposed and it was accepted, great. If not, stop draining the road fund, libraries, and other tax districts to pay for something that the citizens simply don't want, and let them live with the consequences. I want to give you each one of these. With a reference to the 23 different kinds of sexualities, not just gay, bi, straight, and heterosexual. Thank you.
Next up is Dave Barnes.
Morning, David Barnes. I'm county treasurer, but I'm speaking this morning as just a private citizen. Next week on the 17th, over at the Event Center, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management is holding hearings on offshore wind power. And there's a proposed, what they call a call area, which is an area where windmills will be sited, that begins at the Rogue Ridge and ends up at the state line. We've heard before how we have some of the best wind in the world out here. We also have one of the most sensitive migration patterns going on out here. We have whales, we have multiple species of whales, we have fish come up this way. The windmills have been sited far enough offshore that you won't see them, but the cables that stretch to the beach, to the shoreline, will have an impact on migration patterns. I urge all three commissioners to come out to that meeting and hear what the public has to say. I was down at SWAC, I believe it was last week, and there was about 65 people down there, and I believe only one of them spoke in favor. Everybody else who spoke was against this proposal. The city of Port Orford and the Port Commission of Port Orford stood up and met with BOEM, and they had the abandoned call area, which would have impacted the fisheries out of Port Orford. They had that call area taken off of the list. And I really hope that the commissioners can come out to that meeting on the 17th. I hope the public comes out to it and the commissioners listen to what they have to say, so that back here on the 22nd, you all can pass a resolution being opposed to offshore wind power. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Well, hold it.
Just a quick. Oregon Coastal Caucus just come out with a very comprehensive 4-page letter. That's both parties, all the coastal state senators and state representatives. If you haven't got a copy of that, I'll make sure that you do.
Please.
But it addresses some of the questions, some of the concerns we saw at SWAC. And yeah, I'll definitely be at the BOEM meeting on the 17th.
Please, I hope that you all can attend so that you can hear what your public has to say about it.
And I'll make sure you get a copy.
Thank you.
All right, next is Bonnie Pash. County First.
Know that your pastor has a slip.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Pash from Gold Beach. At the last BOC meeting, Brett Cecil introduced himself as the chair of the Curry County Democratic Party and requested that Curry County recognize Gay Pride Month for the month of June in perpetuity by hanging a LGBTQ pride flag. He stated, "Wave high, flags of pride." He mentioned justice for all and being united. Seems to me that waving a gay pride flag will only bring more division. The flag of the United States of America, which has been our declaration for justice and freedom since 1777, is the only flag we need to wave high with pride.
Amen. Amen.
Brett Cecil also praised Gordon Clay for speaking his displeasure for possible laws to restrict abortion, in which Gordon even referred to a child as an alien being. Really? What is going on in the heads of the Democratic Party? They call for justice for all in one breath and declare women have the right to their own body. Kill the baby, even if it is at full term. Get rid of that little alien being. But then these same folks go picket against guns, saying we need to get rid of the guns because they're killing our children. So which is it? Do they care about our children or do they want to destroy them? What recently happened in Texas and Buffalo was a tragedy. But how can someone demand that the government take away guns from law-abiding citizens because they are killing our kids, and then in the next breath stand in a delivery room and tell the doctor to take the life of a full-term baby? Brett Cecil, head of the Curry County Democratic Party, requests that Curry County wave high with pride the LGBTQ flag over Curry County. Really? Why isn't the Democratic Party more concerned about the rights of the hardworking Americans, the ones who are working 2 or more jobs just to continue to provide for their families? And why are they not more concerned for our first responders who are risking their lives to run into a building while everyone else is running out? You know, the ones the Democratic Party was calling to defund? And why are they not more concerned about helping the hardworking people who are risking their own lives to care for those who are sick? The very people who have survived COVID, even while continually exposing themselves to those who are infected with COVID. Instead of praising them, they were told they would have to receive a vaccine that was never properly tested to ensure that it was safe or risk losing their job. Wow, what a way to show your appreciation. America was founded on one nation under God. Many brave people have died to provide and defend our freedom. Our currency even has "In God We Trust" printed on it. America has stood strong and God has blessed us under these principles. Yet some walk out of the room so as not to have to hear a prayer to the very God who our forefathers risked everything in order to establish our nation where they could worship the God that they chose to believe in. The United States Constitution that our forefathers put together has served the American people well through all this time. The Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, has played a very big part in securing our freedom. It was revealed that during World War II, Japan was contemplating a ground invasion of the United States. The decision was made not to do this because the American citizens were so heavily armed with guns and they felt that they would not be able to overtake the military and the citizens that would stand up against them. They would stand to defend the property that they had worked hard and paid with blood, sweat, and tears to acquire. Once again, under a Democratic leadership, America is at war, and the chances of an invasion by Russia and China is higher than it has ever been. Inflation is at a 40-year high, and our gas prices here have doubled in 18 months. We should be very concerned and be making plans on how we can protect our citizens and being ready to defend our freedoms in America should our adversaries decide to come onto our shores. Instead, the Democratic Party is more concerned with killing babies and making sure we wave high the flag of pride. Unfortunately, it appears we are stuck with this leadership for the time being. but I sure hope that the leaders of Curry County will spend their precious time and resources trying to figure out how to best pay our bills and to support and protect the hard-working citizens that are seeking to contribute to the better good of this amazing coast that we all choose to call home. Thank you.
Amen.
Mrs. Pastor, do you mind reading that again at our next meeting? And maybe 3 or 4 meetings in a row. Thank you.
All in favor?
Hey.
So Dale, you can just turn it in and, yeah. Okay, go ahead. And I think we got another one coming too with Dallin.
Am I in?
You're fine, you're fine.
Okay.
Dallin
sorry
will
about
be
that.
next.
I'm just here to encourage you. And I've never been to a board meeting here. I come from Nebraska, and so I've been to board meetings there. Number one, I'd like to read just one verse, because this will pretty much, hopefully, Romans 13:1. Let every soul be subject to the higher powers, for there's no power but from God, the powers that be ordained by God. All I know is where I come from, at least the town I'm at in Nebraska, and it's considered conservative. They think I'm way off base, probably being on the West Coast. It's refreshing being here because I see the seed of what was planted in this country over 200 years ago. And all I know is that where I come from, you're not going to open up a meeting in prayer. That's not political correct. It doesn't make any difference. That's correct with your Creator. And also the fact that you honor the citizens by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. You may not realize it, but what you're enacting for people to see is a reflection of the Great Commandment, which is to love God, and through that, then you love and honor your people because you love and honor God. That's what that's about. When Romans was written by the Apostle Paul, there was a man named Caesar, many Caesars, and they were very cruel to their people. They treated the Jews like animals, and you know, if there would be an insurrection at that time, like up at Portland or somewhere, they'd have been crucified. So the point is, we live in a very special time. But then how do we deal with it? Where's the manuscript? What's the book? It says in Genesis chapter 3, it says the Eve was the mother of all living. We're all in it together. We all live here. We're going to die here. Some will be taken up at the last trump. We don't know if that's us. We're all in the same boat. So we all came from the same blood, the same DNA. That's what it's about. So who do we look to? Well, the one that said that he created male and female, created them. In the image of God made he them. It's simple. It's not complex. It's where we find our equality and our equity and everything else. It's just found in the book. I encourage you. What you do is not political correct, but it's right. And that's what it was about when the Patriots fought against the British. It was right. There's a saying that, I'm going to end it up here, but there's a saying where I come from in farm country. Good fences make good neighbors. You don't have to be like anywhere else. I realize there's rules and regulations and things going on in the international and national scene. We're not Portland. We're not Salem. We're not Davos. We're Curry County. This is my county. And the point is, if you'll just continue to seek the favor of God and what's right with him, it'll work out with man in the county. May not be what everybody wants, but the point is, what's best for everyone. And the Bible says we're to honor all men. Sometimes that's hard for all of us. It's hard for me. I wouldn't expect you to do anything that I wouldn't be willing to submit myself to, and that I fall very short. I probably fall the shortest of most people here of that. But I'm grateful for you, and I pray you just continue to serve this county as long as you're there. because we need you. We need your representation. We need your voice. And there'll be times people might get mad at you and may not think the best, but we're just humans. We're sinful people. But I thank you for serving today.
Thank you, Dale. Sinners saved by grace. Dallin is the next.
Mr. Chair, while he's walking up, it's not true that the Nebraska state tree is a telephone pole, correct?
Well, yeah. Yes, it is.
I bet you like our trees though, huh?
I didn't want to say that, but that's not fair.
We all reap what we sow.
That's right.
Especially in Nebraska. Hi, my name is Dallin. I'm a local here in Gold Beach, Oregon. Didn't really plan on speaking, but since I have the opportunity, I'm going to take a few minutes, and I put down homelessness and crime in our community. I recently had to step down from a committee because it was just too much talk and not enough action. I'm a born-again Christian, but I'm also a Marine, and I'm also a hippie and an entertainer and blah, blah, blah. Slowly getting politically active. Both homelessness and crime, well, across our whole country is on the rise. I mean, on the way in, I just heard about Justice Kavanaugh. There was a possible psycho that was close to his home that they apprehended, and he said he was planning on trying to assassinate one of our Supreme Court justices. Thank God our Secret Service people got him before he succeeded. Homelessness has always been with us and always will be with us. I guess I'm technically homeless, although I live in my motorhome. I'm a full-time RVer, and so I don't have to mow the grass or anything, you know. It's all legal and everything. But crime is also on the rise, and so I pray a lot for our military. Well, military here at home, but also first responders, our sheriffs, state, local police, and all that. They do a wonderful job of keeping us safe and sound. But we must address the homeless population, and they're not all down and out druggies and alkies. A lot of veterans are homeless. People are being squeezed out of their home due to inflation. Elderly, people on fixed incomes. We can't keep kicking this can up the river. It just comes right back down, and we have to deal with it. And we have to deal with it compassionately, along with communities, the churches, the other organizations that are available to help. So I hope, especially with whatever's left with the ARP, American Relief Plan funds, that I pray we'll have 3 shelters, North County, Central County, Southern County, emergency temporary shelters. And I just pray that that'll happen soon. All right, I rest my case. Thank you.
He's telling. All right, thank you, folks.
Deep breaths, huh?
Yep. So we're going to move right to consent agenda and look for a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say yes.
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 Motion carries 3-0. First up in discussion action items is renewal of our network maintenance agreement, and I see Dan Springer's here from Curry Electric, our IT guys, and go ahead, Dan, come on up and speak to that. Anthony, do you have anything to?
I'll defer to Dan.
Just pass it off.
This is just a renewal of what you already have.
Yep.
There's a price break for the longer the contract, so obviously we're recommending the 5-year
Yep.
to get you the best price break. It's not a requirement to have the full upfront cost of that. It's a monthly billable service.
Any questions from the board for Dan or Anthony, either one?
No.
Yep, Court?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dan, welcome. So how much is it a month? Is that the 1,900 I saw in here?
I don't
Roughly?
know the number off the top of my head. I think I sent Anthony the breakdown.
It looks like, yeah, it's $2,823 a month.
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay, so the 23,742, that's for the full 5 years.
Yes, there was a 1, a 3, and a 5-year contract that I sent over for you to pick from.
Right.
That's 5,000 a year, so that's what all I needed to know, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, and your recommendation is the longer we go, the more we save.
You
so
get the bigger discount on
Yep.
there's no discount for 1 year.
Gotcha.
3-year has a slight discount, and then the 5-year has a little bit of a deeper discount for you. And it's something that you're gonna need. It's your network monitoring service and maintenance.
Yep.
So you pay directly because Curry Electric, we're a not-for-profit, so the contract, our support contract with you is designed for us to be able to hand over the keys at any time to your own staff.
Okay.
And that's a service that you would need on your own. So rather than us wrap that into what we do, we keep it separate and transparent so you know that that's what you have. And then if that time would ever to come where we handed over the keys, you wouldn't skip a beat because you guys would have your own maintenance contract for that critical service.
And we're doing it right now, right? I mean,
Correct.
So it's just a renewal, so.
Correct.
Council Pope, was he tough to work with?
Oh, very tough. And I just want to point out, it is a 7% discount if we sign the longer term agreement. So there's some pretty good cost savings there.
So I'll make a motion if you're ready, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
ready.
To approve discussion action item 6A, renewal of the network maintenance agreement, Curry Electric with the company DGI.
Okay, very good.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other question or comment?
You have to abstain, I think.
I do? Okay, I'll abstain. So I'm on that board at Curry Electric. All in favor say yes.
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 Motion carries 2-0 with 1 abstention. JJ? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Have a good
panel.
day.
And next is 6B. I see Monica Ward is ready to roll.
boy.
American Rescue Plan allocation of CWPP Wildfire Plan Protection Evaluation Plan.
Yes. Good morning. Monica Ward, Curry County Emergency Management. And we submitted 2 grant applications. They were technically letters of interest back in February. Both moved through to the next round. I received word from the state actually recently that they are moving them into 2 separate grants. So we are looking at both of these grants going through and the county being awarded those. Our cost share would be 25%. The first grant application covers the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Currently, our plan was published back in 2008. All the information in there is outdated, and we can't really use any of it. So that means we have to do a complete rewrite instead of just an update. The rewrite will include new GIS layers. They're going to come out and do an assessment, and it will put us into compliance with Senate Bill 762. We'll be one of the first counties to actually publish a CWPP following all the updates that we're going to see from that Senate bill. And the beauty of the company that we are working with is they produce a storyboard for the public to actually be able to go in and track the county's progress in actually implementing mitigation actions throughout the county, and they can even zoom into their individual parcels to see the risks and hazards around their homes. So it gets the community much more involved in figuring out the hazards in their area and what they can do to mitigate wildfire. The second grant covers an evacuation plan. Curry County needs one of these because right now we rely on the 101. We're very reactive if there are any issues with the 101 and trying to find alternate routes. This evacuation plan is an all hazards approach. So we're going to look at tsunami, wildfire, landslide, everything, and identify primary and secondary routes. And with that, we're also going to be able to look at all these logging roads, everything, and identify routes that we haven't really considered just because they're not being well maintained at this point. And it's going to enforce a relationship with all of our partners in the county to start maintaining these routes for public safety. So The Emergency Management Office, we don't really have much of a budget especially when it comes to plan development. So I'm requesting just shy of $73,000 from the ARP funding to cover the local cost share of these two plans so that Curry County can become much more proactive instead of reactive in the event of a disaster.
All right, gentlemen.
I have lots of questions. Ms. Ward is working on basically a 14-year-old plan. The Curry County Wildfire Protection Plan needed to be updated for that length of time. Originally, I was told, and we've been trying to get this done, you have complicated this terribly, which I'm so grateful for. Because at that time, we were looking at $5,000 and basically just move a few sentences and pretend like it was adequate. I sat in on a meeting 2 days ago with the DLCD on the fire plan. You've been on that call. They're meeting 2 or 3 times a month. Anyway, the city of Ashland went to their Title III funds, and they got evacuation signs out of those funds. Now, they don't have the issues that we have in both the tsunami evacuation and the fire evacuation. And I'm not asking Mr. Chair to table this today, but I see no reason we can't use that $78,000 that you need for the 2 projects combined out of Title III funds. We can leave the ARP funds alone. We have about $1 million in there, and we've spent it pretty wisely over, basically a 15-year period. So I'm very confident that would qualify, but I don't want to delay you if that's going to give you, any headaches or, So, what would your thoughts be on that?
So our application is due June 24th. And
Okay.
part of that application is the county signing off saying that we do have the funds and we state where the funds are going to come from so that we are committed to our cost share before the federal review of the plan, because they're not going to push the grant any further if we can't cover our cost share. So we have until the 24th to determine how we would cover our cost share.
Is it
So if we met on the 22nd, would that give you guys anxiety that we might be too close to the deadline? If we approved it through ARP, through
Well, I'm
Title
wondering
III
if
funds?
Anthony can answer that question right now, if that is possible, whether it can come out of Title III or...
I'd have to take a look into that. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
I think it can come out of Title III. I'm
Yeah.
not sure as well as Commissioner Boyce, but I think it can. We'll leave that for council.
All we have to do is look to Ashland, and they can take the lead for us. They'll help us if we need to make that case. Again, maybe I'm overconfident, but pretty relaxed that that's not going to be an issue. And it really is beside the point if we have adequate funds in there, but there is substantial funds that this is what those funds are for.
Perfect.
And if you want to, you're going to be trying to do signs. You mentioned logging roads and what have you. That's probably where the funds are going to come from for the county to complete those projects.
Yeah. That's what that money was intended for. A lot of that is what it was intended for.
So other counties have used Title III for CWPP, but the counties that have been working on their evacuation plans, they've been doing them through grants, and their county is just pulling it out of their general funds to do that cost share. On the bright side, we're using the same agency, University of Oregon, to do our evacuation plan, so they are establishing protocol and processes that we can just take from other coastal communities. So
The only other question or concern I might have is if the Title III, if there'd be any restrictions on that being used as a matching. So I did not think of that. So we might want to review that too. And the only other thing I have, Mr. Chair, is that yes, I saw the University of Oregon logo here, and there's just well, first of all, we had and I'm sure you've heard all the history since you got here about the 2011 tsunami that got the Port of Brookings, and the 2014 sinkhole, 2017, 2018 Checobar and Klondike fires, and we had the 2019 April floods, which are almost unheard of, and then the 2019 Huskanaden highway collapse. So the risk, just the background and purpose, I just want to read this for the public real quick, and this is from the University of Oregon, and it's comprehensive, and it's good. But but just as it's tailored to Curry County, I just have one issue, and that's this. The risk of extreme wildfire, flood, earthquake, tsunami, coastal erosion, okay, that would be Huskanatan, the winter storm events is increasing in Curry County. I don't know if I agree that it's increasing. I mean, over the last, that's 8 years.
Yeah, but
I'd like to have 5 or 10 years where nothing happens, and increasing is incorrect, but I'll just keep praying on that. The only other one I had in the next paragraph, landslide, wildfire, windstorm, winter storm, and extreme heat. Maybe at Agnes, but not so much on the coast. That's all I had, but yeah, in 8 years, that's quite a list of what this county's had to deal with. And a lot of us have been here and in the middle of that, and so the only thing I would conclude with, Mr. Chair, is on the basis of getting this done and completed on the June 22nd meeting.
By the dated time. Yes, Chris?
And I feel the same. I mean, ARP money for me was intended for the largest swath of people in the county. It's to be used, I believe, to the most people in this county can benefit from the use of that money. So this is something that everyone would benefit from. So could we have direction from the board that we're going to use one or the other, and that gives you an action plan that you can move forward with your grant, and you will have funding by one or the other by that time.
So we can make it a condition?
Yes.
We approve today with the condition?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
So I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Been moved and seconded to approve the, help me out with your motion, Chris.
It's to approve the additional funding that we need for the grant. What's it called?
Community Wildfire Protection Plan.
No, there's a word.
It's a good day.
Evacuation.
The copay. The 25% copay for these grants.
All right, we got that. Becky, did you have something to add to that? Or?
I do. I just want to
discussion item.
Point out that in May of 2020, the board actually made a commitment to a wildfire protection plan to be paid for through the Title III funds. So it's in the record already that this was an appropriate utilization of those funds.
Okay. How did you catch that?
Because she's Becky Crockett.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second.
It's in her bloodline. Mm-hmm. Any other discussion?
Do we need to repeat the motion? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
All in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
No relation to John Ward. Pardon me?
She's my daughter.
The next is C. Thank you, Dale, for coming.
Thanks, Dale.
Gotta get the car back to my wife.
All right. Roadmaster Signature Authority to award Tidewater Contractors Incorporated in the amount of $661,120.60 for 2022 Central County paving project on North Bank Rogue River Road.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Richard Christensen, Road Department. Yes, Tidewater Contractors was low bid for this year's paving project, and we'd like to award them. They're in the engineer's estimate for the project, but before I had that engineer's estimate, I had the old estimate, so it's going to be a little bit more than what's in my current budget, but I believe we'll be able to carry it. That the cost has gone up 20% this year for paving, and that we have historically we pave about 6 miles a year. We're only doing 3 miles this year, and 2 items past this is that the state's going to help pay for this project through federal funds that I'm applying for of $263,000. And the road department's looking for board approval to award this project to Tidewater Contractors in the amount of $661,000 and change.
I'll entertain a motion or questions for Rich.
Well, Rich, I just for public knowledge, this is pretty far up North Bank, so could you explain about where it is?
Yeah, it's it's between Libby Pond and not Hunter Creek, Lobster Creek. That section of road there between Libby Pond and Lobster Creek, and there's a fire department in there, and there's several lodges.
I just didn't want to think you were blacked up in my front of my ranch.
Oh, no. That's next year. No, just kidding.
So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Motion second, all in favor say yes.
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 Motion carries 3-0. Stay there, Richard. Approve amendment number 1 to contract between Curry County and the Dyer Partnership Project. And I
Yes.
see Aaron Speakman's here. Hi, Aaron.
Morning, Aaron.
Yes, I invited Dyer President Aaron Speakman to be here because this is the first time we're amending our 2019 agreement, and the fee schedule's changed, and there's a few reasons for that. And Aaron's here to talk with you about that and any questions you may have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Aaron.
As Richard said, we haven't asked for an adjustment in our fee schedule since June 27, 2019. Typically, we do that every 2 years. We did go through an ownership change. It didn't hit my radar until recently. So I did go ahead and look at the rates. We're proposing an 8.1% raise from the 2019 rates, but we're projecting that through 12/31 of 2023, which works out to an average annual increase of a 2.16%. So if there's questions on that, I can answer them.
I don't have any.
Questions, Court?
I'm just slow popping it up here on my computer. My apologies. Repeat that last amount. It was 2.6%.
It's an 8.1% over the average per employee over the 2019 rate, but projecting that through the end of 12/31 of 2023, it's an average annual of 2.16.
Thank you. I thought that's what you said.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
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 Motion carries 3-0. Thanks,
Thank you,
Aaron.
guys.
Thanks, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron, we did a couple tests, one for lobster and one for Boyce Cove. Nothing was found, so, yeah. And that's without any, no, those filter, what do you call that?
Charcoal filter?
Well, no, the filter, the UV.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so.
Ultraviolet?
Yeah, this is just good water, so.
Did you drive down from Coos Bay?
Yes, sir.
Next time we'll zoom you in, okay? If that
I'll
helps.
talk to Richard about some of those.
Okay.
Yeah, he's down here a lot.
Doing the water project for Gulf Beach as well.
We appreciate your company.
Yep.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is 6E, Roadmaster Signature Authority for Oregon Department of Transportation requesting state funds of $263,000 for that paving project that we just approved a minute ago.
Yeah. I'd like to just go back for a second for what you just approved with Dyer Partnership.
Yeah.
They're a big part of our team as far as grants, and a lot of their costs are attached to grants, and they help us apply for grants. And also too is that they also fulfill the role of the county surveyor as well. And so, like, I've downsized my team or reorganized my team from not having engineering. And so it's been working really well to the benefit of Curry County with Dyer Partnership. So thank you for renewing that contract.
You bet.
So the next one is, this is the fund exchange agreement I talked about for $263,000. And they changed the process on this. They made it much easier, but they charge an extra 4%. And it used to be 6%, now it's 10%. But all I have to do is write them a letter, what it's for, and I have to take that letter to the board for board approval for me to sign that letter. Then I submit that letter and a check comes to Curry County Road Department for $263,000 and change.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah.
Quick.
Okay.
Let's see here. Second, Mr. Chair.
Okay, it's got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
You betcha, sir. The next one is you still with the Vehicle Replacement Fund.
Yeah, this is a real challenging one, and this is one that started back in 2019 with Enterprise coming here to the board and wanting to manage our fleet. And at that time, we said no, but we bought, I believe it was 10 vehicles, 5 for the general fund, 5 for the road department. and did it on our own. And it was successful. And those vehicles, I believe today, are still worth more than what we paid for them in 2019. Then last year, Enterprise came in again, and board, I believe, unanimously approved buying 20 vehicles with Enterprise, but then those vehicles weren't available through Dodge due to the chip shortage. So those contracts fell through. Well, Enterprise is reaching out to me again a couple times the last month, and I'm not looking at bringing them aboard to manage this for us. I'm looking for that, like I said, I've reorganized my team, that my team can manage this. And we just had a public surplus auction that went really well. And one of the things with that surplus was there was 3 vehicles in that surplus that were given an estimate by Enterprise last year in August when they did that last presentation of about they could sell them for about $7,500. Well, through public surplus, we ended up selling them for $13,328. You know, so we're not quite double. So, you know, we're totally capable of selling vehicles ourselves through public surplus at a profit. And then, so, you know, in this isn't, and what the ultimate goal is that the road department wants to manage the entire general fund fleet to this maximum potential of governmental purchasing power. And the thought is that I was trying to find a way to loan, to get it started, road funds to the general fund to kickstart this thing. And that in 5 years, those road funds would be repaid. And I figured it out, and this would be maximum $600,000. I looked at it through online. They have where you can do estimates, a calculator for interest, and it'd be 36 at 2%, because I don't know how much the LGIP gets, the local government investment pool, but I just said 2%. And at 2%, 600 grand is $36,000 of interest that would go back to the road reserves. But in those 5 years, if with just 20 vehicles, I could pay, instead of paying Enterprise, we could pay my senior accounting specialist 1/3 of their salary to help manage this. And today you just approved their promotion. And this person used to manage the sales of used vehicles and repos. And so between what we've just done with public surplus and our skill levels and what we've learned these last 3 years with these, the structure of Enterprise's proposals, we're asking to transfer $600 from the road reserve to the general vehicle replacement fund.
600,000, not just $600.
Yes, 600,000. But last night, county council got back to me.
Yeah.
They let me know that the ORS I was looking at, that I was so happy with, ORS 294-468 says, when I read it, it says, it shall be lawful to loan money from any fund to another fund of the municipal corporation, you know, but when you go read down there, there's another line that says, monies credited to any fund when under applicable constitutional provisions, the monies are restricted to the specific uses. So road funds could only be used for road fund type things. And so it looks like we cannot do that, but county council's reviewing that more.
Vehicles are on the road.
Good point.
Yeah, vehicles are on the road, but also too is they're part of the road department's management. And so, I'm not saying yes or no, but just to have that conceptually, if we can make this work and we could pull this together, would the board want me to keep working on this and looking at managing, the road department managing the general vehicle replacement fund in the pool to its maximum potential through governmental purchasing? And because I really see at the end of this, in 5 years, the road fund will be replaced and we'll have money possibly to replace 2 sheriff cruisers a year from then on out if nobody touches that road reserve, and we just let the vehicles, us manage it to its fullest potential. There'll be no cost to these sheriff vehicles for the general fund or the road reserves in the future. And so that's what I'm trying to kickstart. That's the goal.
Yeah.
And it's a 5-year goal, and I think we could attain it, but we just need to get some startup money, and I don't know how to do that yet, so I need your help. And if you would even consider us doing that.
Okay, what do you guys think?
Absolutely. I have a couple questions.
Okay.
If I may,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair. You learned, okay, so 4 years you've been dealing back and forth with Enterprise, and they just couldn't deliver the rigs. I mean, they didn't perform the agreement.
Right,
But-
they
but
did,
during that time-
and we signed the agreement, it was all approved to buy those 20 vehicles, but after we signed that agreement, the vehicles didn't become available. Dodge was sold out.
Very good. But you learned a lot from Enterprise, and you in that 4 years, you've been able to set up your group, your employees, your staff to put this together, and you're going in with good confidence. I see.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay. And you mentioned the LGIP. You don't know what that figure is?
No, I don't.
You don't know
No, I reached out to Treasurer this week, but I wasn't able to get that information.
Okay.
It's just one,
It's less than 1% right now.
Okay. So that would, your biggest concern is if a loan would be qualified under the statute that you referenced?
Yes, or maybe there's another statute.
Okay.
And so that's it.
How big a hurry are we then?
Pretty big hurry because I'm trying to get, there's only gonna be so many vehicles built this year, and I want to lock in, get our position to get in line for those vehicles. So the sooner I get in line is the better chance we have of obtaining those vehicles. Not like what happened last year with Enterprise where we weren't able to obtain them. So the big thing is just to get in line. So if conceptually you approve this, you know, I'll sign these agreements and get us in line. And if it falls through, there's no loss to the county because we're not.
we can back out anytime.
We can back out.
Okay.
So you're talking, if I may, Mr., just two more quick questions. The auction, the gross receipts of that, that's really noteworthy, and I'd like public to know, and I'll tell you where I'm going with that question. It was 100 to 200 some thousand?
128,000.
Excuse me.
Well, that's just off the top of my head.
What?
No, gross sales was 200.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, gross sales was $265,000 and a little in change to the county. Of that,
While you're looking there, I just want to give you and your crew a tremendous shout out for that entire process. It was very well organized, very much above board, clean, and needless to say, pretty productive.
it was, and you know, and the county's worked with public surplus for years, so we work really well together, and so most of these funds went to the road department, some went to the sheriff's department, some went to the general vehicle replacement fund, and some of this, it was a new thing, and we applied for it, was the profits that 7% of these profits the customers paid directly to public surplus. Of those 7% of profits, I mean, that 7% equaled $18,000, $18,500. And because we applied for a new program that public surplus has, Association of Oregon Counties is getting a check for $1,850 for on top of it.
AOC gets a part of it, yeah.
Let's hear it for AOC. No.
Yeah.
The reason I think your vision is because you were talking about 17 pickups and 3 cruisers, correct?
Yes.
So is your vision to do away with all cars and just have pickups for all the county travel needs in a general sense?
In a general sense, to maximize revenues,
Yep.
yes, because
there's a
pickup trucks have higher flip value than Durangos.
So if the public sees a lot of new vehicles, we'll be able to explain, and I'm comfortable with that. You know, how can the county afford all these new vehicles? This plan you've got originated generally, in a general sense, from Enterprise, and you've picked up with it, and I think modified it to where it's something to brag about. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to answer that real quick, Enterprise was saying 7 to 10 grand per vehicle. I'm saying 5. So I'm being more conservative than them. So all these numbers I give you are very conservative, and we may repay the road fund less than 5 years. You know, depending on how many vehicles and flip, you know, sheriff cruiser is about $55,000. So for every 10, 11 vehicles that we're able to flip every year, we could maybe purchase a new sheriff cruiser. That's the goal.
Chris?
I personally, I'd like to see some patience on this. I'm, I don't know, $600,000 to buy some vehicles right now. With our budget constraints, all the problems we're having right now in this county with the budget, we need housing and a lot of other things more than we need some new cars right now. And I'm not knocking the program. As you know, I've stood with you 100% on this. Another thing to think about would be it's been announced that IBM has just put they're putting a 1 million square foot chip factory in right now as we speak. It will become operational by the end of the year. AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, is also building locally, in the U.S., not locally. So the chip, they're saying that the chip shortage is going to be severely. It's starting to decline now, but it's going to be severely declined by the end of the year.
That's great.
So I think we're going to start to see car prices, all of that stuff, not return to normal, but start to come back pretty quickly. So we're looking at, you know, by getting in line with this, you're looking at probably spring or summer of next year before you can get these vehicles anyway.
Right.
So
that's the point.
But just
right
wanted
there.
to get in line.
Yeah.
And all these numbers that I've given you have nothing to do with the chip shortage. These numbers that Enterprise gave the last 3 years are numbers that have nothing to do with the chip shortage, but because of the chip shortage, the value of our used vehicles has gone skyrocketed.
but you're going to pay a premium also when you purchase the new vehicles, and that's my point, is you're going to pay a higher price when you purchase the new vehicles, where if we wait, I guess in some respects it offsets itself, because when you sell the used cars,
right,
it will kind of balance itself. Yeah. I just, you know, for me, it's more of let each department put in their budget for a vehicle, and at the end of budget season, we know how many vehicles we need, and to order those, you know, those vehicles for those departments through their budget. Have the road fund do that is a good thing, but to order 20 general services vehicles, for me right now, it's a hard decision to make.
Okay.
Court?
This is a solid program, and it gives Curry County a certain amount of, what's the word, prowess, as far as getting in the position to where we can order cars, and the manufacturers pay attention to us. You know, I mean, that's no small thing, and that's going to take a building on this 4 years that you've done. There's no way, I believe, I'd love to be wrong, that price of anything is going to go down in the next 5 years. I don't care what kind of commodities, vehicles, food, fuel maybe, which would sure help, but I wouldn't count on that. I say get them ordered, and we can always change our mind. I think budget concerns are quite legitimate, but in this case, I think it's a real low risk process.
Way over on the break.
Yeah, we got to take a break. Let's do that since it's 10:09. We'll come back and finish up this discussion. We'll meet back here at 10:30.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
20 minutes?
15.
So 10:25?
Oh, no, yeah. Well, hold it. What did I say? 10:30?
Yeah.
That's way too much.
10:25.
10:20. 10:25.
Okay.
Sorry.
I forget.
Not very good at the math. continuing on with discussion of purchasing vehicles and through the road department and all that stuff. So, does anybody remember where we were?
Treasurer Barnes was going to get up and speak.
The treasurer had a question, and then Garrett Thompson was going to speak in behalf of that after Dave. So,
Something I just want to follow up on, make a minor correction. We're one of 7 counties where road fund is allowed to be used by the road department and the sheriff's department for sheriff's patrol. So, but something else, I discussed this yesterday with Mr. Pope a couple of times, and I went to the Treasurers Association with it, and we cannot loan road fund money to the county general fund. ORS prohibits that. We can loan it to special districts, we can loan it to another county, but we can't loan it to the general fund for the purchase of automobiles, unless those automobiles are going to be used by the sheriff's patrol or by the road department. So we have kind of an issue here from the very beginning that we're not going, I don't know where we're going to find the $600,000 to purchase these vehicles with, since we can't get it, since we can't use road fund money to do it. We can purchase ones, like I said, for sheriff and for road, but we can't purchase general service vehicles for the rest of the county to use.
okay.
So,
Real quick, Anthony, because we talked and you weren't completely.
Like a lot of things, it comes down to wording and definitions, and the ORS that Rich read, yeah, the restriction that says that we can't use monies credited to any fund when under applicable constitutional provisions. And so the question that I need to look into and answer is the road fund restricted because of constitutional provisions, or is it statutorial? And that may or may not matter, but it's just something that I need to look into more.
So you're the final word, not the treasurer, correct?
I provide legal advice.
Thank you.
So that we will, yeah.
okay, statutorily it says no. So if there's something in the state constitution that changes that, I hope council will let me know, because as of right now, according to statutes, it says no.
Okay.
So thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Garrett's going to come up real quick. And
So, and the roadmaster has made it clear that it would be subject to
if it
this.
would, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Hello, Garrett Thompson. It is my understanding that because of this, the nature of this program, that those vehicles would be going into the motor pool, which would be under the road department. So I don't know if that changes that. They wouldn't be held by individual departments. They'd just be utilized by the individual departments. But I'm here to talk about my need for vehicles. I have one vehicle that is in a current state of failure, and it's going to leave my residential inspector stranded on a job site here very soon, unfortunately. I have another one that has been repaired multiple times, and it is currently also failing. And I am currently driving a car that is low to the ground, and it has almost left me stranded on several job sites, not being able to get back out of them due to mud and deep ruts. So I understand the financial situation, but I am in dire need of some vehicles that I can use for my position.
You haven't knocked the oil pan off yet, huh?
Not quite, but I've just about ripped the front spoiler off. So.
Ooh, okay.
So there's 3 pickups. I mean, one of those is a pickup, one of those is a Jeep, and one of them is an Escort or a Escape.
Escape.
Yeah.
And currently, I do have the budget for one vehicle, and I'm planning on replacing the Jeep. So I will still be sitting in the car. And we'll still have the old truck that the plumbing inspector uses. But if we could get those replaced, it's going to end up saving a lot of repair money down the road.
Okay.
So
I think where we're at right now is, unless Anthony can say yay or nay, we're going to
hold it.
We'll make sure that's a, yay or nay, and then we'll go from there. Chris?
And a way to do this is, if it's a no from the state law, is departments can, if you didn't already put it in your budget for this next year, departments can put in a supplemental budget for that for those vehicles needed, and do it that way, as long as they have the budget for it.
Well, so do a supplemental, or?
Well, you do a supplement, like you just said, he's got a budget for a new vehicle. So
one vehicle, but
right.
he needs 3.
Right.
So that's.
Yeah, I'd like to answer all those questions.
You
And
can answer all those?
Absolutely. Well, the last one is they don't have a budget. They can't get a vehicle. That's the problem. And where we left off was that, you know, the sooner we get into this enterprise structure is the sooner that we could start making revenues to get out of this predicament where these departments that do not have the money to buy vehicles, it's no longer an issue. And that's what the future looks like in 5 years. And currently, road department has 4 vehicles we wanted to auction off that are old, broken down, high mileage vehicles that these departments are using. Plus they have old vehicles of their own. The general fund fleet is over, if you took all the vehicles to get in there, over 10 and a half years old. You know, old vehicles get bad gas mileage, which is real important. Old vehicles need a lot of repairs and maintenance. Okay, so when you have new vehicles, those costs go down, which is another budget I manage, the vehicle maintenance budget. So I'm trying to lower those costs as well. The other thing is that what the treasurer says may be true, maybe not be true. It's going to be interpreted by county council. And that I was looking at a way to start with the general fund to help the sheriff fleet, okay? So if I hit a wall there, I'm not gonna stop. You know, I'm gonna figure this out. And just with what he's saying is that, well, we could loan money to the sheriff department. Well, heck, let's start, that's where I wanted to end, but if that's where we have to start, let's start there. Give the road department management of the sheriff fleet, and we will find, with working with the sheriff department, I've already talked with Captain McDonald about this. I was over there a week or two ago to meet with, and just walked in, and the sheriff wasn't there, but McDonald was there, and I talked with him about this, is about the goal of replacing vehicles at no cost to the sheriff department. And they have several vehicles within SARS and in their department that would fit into this program. So if that's where we need to go, I'm willing to start with the sheriff department, you know what I mean? But I wanted to go in there softly. But if that's where we need to go to get this program going, let's get it going. And well, so
let's do this. Let's find out, yay or nay first, and then we'll go from there. How's that?
Okay.
Bring it back to the next meeting.
Yeah, we'll bring it back on the 22nd.
Yeah, but he's carrying a little bit deeper, and he's solving a problem. If I may, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
He's trying to solve a problem here. I mean, we want the most and best rigs we can possibly get for the least amount of money, and I think he's on that right path. So he just said, if he can manage the entire county fleet with the people he has now, and the maintenance, which is going to be pretty minimum, then I want to do just a little more today than table it and go, I mean, is there another way you can loan to the sheriff's department? Is that what I hear you saying?
Well, there's 2 rules when it comes to road funds to the sheriff department. There's the original rule where it was you could loan funds, and I believe that ORS is still in place. And then there's the new ORS that says you can take road reserves and give it to the sheriff department. So what I'm looking at doing is using the first rule where you could loan it to the sheriff department. I'm just segueing to where this moved to what the treasurer said, is that we would loan those monies to the sheriff department, and the road department would manage those vehicles in a profit-making manner and to help replace his fleet.
So this would help us avoid losing 2 weeks, Mr. Chair.
Well, yeah, so and I'm in favor of if we can back out of ordering these vehicles pending, you know, what Anthony comes up with legally. And then we can talk about on the 22nd whether we're going to do general fleet, you know, or the general, what's it called? Just our fleet that, you know, Garrett needs 3 vehicles, and right. And I imagine Melvin
Code enforcement
needs
needs 2 vehicles.
Yeah. So is that okay? Is that a head nod, gentlemen, or?
I just want to save as much time as we can. It's like we've discussed in the past. Boy, to get anything done, sometimes it just takes forever. And I'm going to say again to the public, I see this as low risk. I really do. And I would like to have him go out of here feeling like we've got a lot of confidence in his vision and get it done. And in addition to, yes, we're in agreement that County Council is going to research this and come back with hopefully a couple different options, perhaps.
Okay.
2 weeks works for us. I'll put it on the agenda as an action item in 2 weeks.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right.
We turned him loose now?
Yep. G is consolidation of special districts. Chris?
I add something real quick.
Okay, John, I'm sorry I didn't see you get up there.
You know, all that's fine and dandy, except when he says loan the vehicles to us, that's not what the ORS says for. You know, when we purchase these vehicles, we're not just purchasing the vehicle itself, but we're purchasing all the equipment that goes with it. So after 3 years, all that equipment has to be taken out, which is going to damage the car inside as far as the cages, the radios, everything that we have, the light systems. That's 15 grand right there. So that has to be and when we buy a rig, we have to add at least another 12 to 15 grand for all the equipment that goes into the vehicle. So when you switch it out in 3 years, it's going to be expensive to move all that equipment to another rig, and it damages the equipment to begin with when you start doing that. So all that has to be taken into into account as well.
All right, sir. Chris?
All right, well, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the special districts, and I know over time everyone says this is impossible to do, and why are we even attempting to try, and all that. But what I want to let the public know that, you know what, not everything is easy. Not everything that we are going to do is something we can do quickly. This has been something that I've worked on since I've been here, and I've gotten pushback from a lot of people telling me that it's not going to work. Why are you trying to do this? A week or so ago, we had the mayor of Gold Beach call together all the fire districts for central Curry County, the 5 fire districts and Gold Beach. And we had a lengthy meeting, and those 5 fire districts voted unanimously to look to consolidate the fire district to 1 district. We are going to, each district board will be voting in the coming weeks to have 1 person on their current boards to represent that district for the next consolidation board. And again, this hasn't happened yet, but it's a first step. And we understand this will be a vote of the people to do this, but if you have your fire districts saying, you know, we think this is a good thing, and there's a lot of legal issues to work out with this. The mayor of Gold Beach has also told us that she will ask her council to look into representing us for this process so that we can make sure that we are compliant with all state laws on this. And again, this is going to take time, but it's a first step. And I'm just really happy to see that all of the districts sat down, had a great meeting, had input, and made a decision that they think that this will benefit the county by being able to serve the citizens of the county better. And can we save taxpayer dollars? Hopefully we can. I also want to make note that we all received a letter from the Port Orford Rural Fire Protection District. And in that letter, they said that they have heard me or us discussing consolidation of districts, fire, libraries, those kind of things. And the consensus of their board meeting was a no. And the reason they state that it was a no is because and I want to quote this, Port Orford is always disadvantaged to the larger populations of the South County. Also in the highest permanent bill state rates for the 13 county fire departments are Port Orford, Sixes, Langlois, and they would be subsidizing that lower tax rate. A perfect example of this is the dynamic work in which the new hospital of which you spoke, the people of Port Orford voted against the GO bond to build the hospital, but got stuck with the bill, even though they're not big users of it, unlike South County that pay no taxes and are the largest users. And he gladly welcomes any and all of us to come up and speak to them about this. And what he's saying in here is they would vote no to a consolidated fire district in the county, because I agree. And that's why when we initially started talking about the fire districts, we wanted to do it into 3 areas. North County would be one district, Central County would be another district, South County would be another district. They would all have their respective tax rates. And I think I am going to go up and see them. And I think when we talk about that, I'll bring back to the board what the gist of the conversation is. But I think once we can sit and talk about this and look at the benefits that could bring, and they may vote no. But I know one thing, I think we've just turned 5 special districts in this county into 1. Because I do believe Central County will form 1 district, and it will be for the betterment of the citizens and the response times and the overall benefit to the taxpayer. That's really all I have.
Okay.
It's just an update on what's going on with it.
Any questions or discussion?
No, this has been talked about for several years now, and I appreciate the momentum, support it fully. Fire's number 1, in my opinion, of what we're faced with here, with the amount of fuel loads we have in this county, and not just the backcountry wilderness, but right down to the ocean. Tremendous fire fuel. So anything we can do that draws attention to our volunteer fire departments that need help. I'm gonna be careful how this sounds, but it's an aging group, and they are dedicated, and they need encouragement. They need all the above. So there's 6 districts in South County, 6 in Central Curry County, and 3 plus the Elk River in North County. So the attention that we're drawn to this, the leadership of Gold Beach, Commissioner Pash's concern and aid in this is good. And so from the board, we need to adopt a position that basically says, yeah, we can support this, assuming we can and will and do. I think the sooner we can get it to the voters, the better. And of course, the long-term goal is to have the South and North County sections follow suit, because it's based on rationale and good common sense.
Okay.
One more thought. I would like to give kudos to the chief here in Gold Beach. He's just been, what a workaholic he is.
And there's some work to do, right? It's not a...
Well, and he's not afraid to take the reins.
Yeah.
Either. You know, he's done a lot of the background work on this. I'm just kind of helped push it along, but he's been the front of it. So.
Okay. Moving on. H is Finance Director, Commissioner Pash.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak about our current situation. As we all know, I'm not sure the citizens know, but in my opinion, since my tenure here, we're about to lose the best finance director that I've been associated with here. Brad is going to be moving on. He's taken, from what I understand, he is going to be staying here locally in Oregon with his family. But we've got some serious things we've got to look at. And I guess the business at hand is the first thing we need to look at, and that is replacing him as our finance director and how we're going to do that. I will say that, you know, I won't say I begged, but I pleaded pretty hard for Brad to stay, and I keep looking in the back because he's sitting back there in case anyone's wondering. But you know, I know during budget season we talked about outsourcing, you know, the finance department and all that stuff, and it's hard. And I believe that is one of the mitigating factors of why Brad's leaving. And Brad can speak for himself, but we cannot. It's hard to have job security, especially when you've moved from Utah to here. And I'm just using his situation with a wife and young family, and come to a job and uproot your whole life and then come here. And basically from the time he came here as a director of operations, his job was under pressure to be changed. And then he moved in as finance director, and it's always been stated, well, not always been stated, but it's been stated several times, of the possibility of outsourcing the finance department, and the finance department was too big, and can we cut it back? There's too many people back there, and these kind of things. For the first time And I've been involved in a little bit in Curry County's government for a little longer than the 4 years that I've been here, as far as the financial part of it. For the first time, in my knowledge, we are up to date on all of our audits. Our audits are all compliant. And I believe we have probably one of the best budgeteers for finance director that I can, in the private sector or the public sector that I know of. He's a conservative person. Everything that he's done has met the law, and it has been an extremely conservative budget that I believe at the end of the cycle we will find out that the numbers are much more in line than the shortages that were predicted only because of his conservative approach. Brad's going to be hard to replace because the department loves him. And what I ask this board to do is, if we decide as a board to move forward, because Brad told me he would have retired here. He wanted to retire here in Curry County at this job. If we decide to move forward with a new finance director, and I'm apologizing for getting a little emotional here, but we can't hire people under the guise that we're just going to do away with you if we don't like something or something, you know, doesn't happen just right. Your job's on chopping block. Good people aren't going to come here and work for that. You cannot expect people to come to work motivated with a skip in their step, as I always say, to come to work thinking that there's division, that there's a possibility that things are going to change greatly, and your job's going to go away or change. Good people aren't going to come here and do that. It's hard enough to do the pay scales that we do here in government, that people accept that, but to also come here with the, I don't want to say threat, that's a way overstatement, but with the guys that your job could go away quickly because, well, for whatever reason, we're just not going to find qualified people. So I think the first step we need to make is being united as a board, that if we look for a new finance director, that their job is secure, and they need to know that. I don't want to pick on anybody, but during budget season this year, it was mentioned several times that we may need to outsource the finance department. It was brought up.
Who brought it up, may I ask?
You were one, sir.
No.
Yes.
Several times.
Watch the videos, sir. Watch the videos.
Yeah.
I'm not picking on you, sir. I'm saying it was brought up several times. You asked me who brought it up.
Not by me.
Anyway, let's just move on with that. All I'm saying is, you can't have job security and live under that kind of a notion. So, all I'm asking is that if we are to look for a new finance director and could possibly be successful to find one, that person. We have to have, and I know future boards can make changes, but we should have to have something that guarantees people the ability to do their job well and not live under a cloud. And the second part of that is we have to do something to fill the gap with an interim finance director under state law until we can find a finance director. And as you have been interim for maintenance, you've been interim for parks. I don't have a formal financial degree. I have licenses on Wall Street, and I am the liaison for finance department. I would be willing to be the interim finance director. We will also have to have an emergency check signer, signature authority, which Treasurer Barnes, I think, will speak about in a while, but I would be willing to be the interim finance director until we can hopefully replace.
So we got Julie Swift in the audience. Julie, can you speak at all to any, we got applications or no applications? We've advertised for this, and we're
Julie Swift, Payroll and HR. We are advertising for the position. It's on our website. It's at governmentjobs.com. It's at Indeed. It's at AOC. So it's out there.
And as of today?
We have 0 applications. We did talk to, as far as having an interim finance director or someone help us out, I talked to Summer Sears, who helped us through the budget process and audit process and Cassell conversion and all that kind of stuff in the last couple of years. She's not available until October. She did give me a couple names of some of her colleagues who may be able to help, which Brad and I are having a meeting with one of them tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to see if we can get some interim help.
And I'm fully on board with that. Okay. So I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, because we will need someone to help through the month-end close, reviewing our financial statements, the year-end close, starting the audit process, so until we get someone in place.
So it's been brought up to me, the pay scale. Are we in the ballpark, or how does that, I haven't looked at this application because finances so is it?
Do we have to discuss that now? I just wonder if that's in our best interest.
Well, it's public record anyway.
Yeah, I just
matter
wonder.
public record.
What do you think, Anthony?
That's fine.
Yeah.
I think our current scale is 74 to 86,000 for that position.
Okay.
So.
And that falls in line with counties?
I would have to look at other counties. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Okay. Is that
But I
could
can
I
look
ask you
into
to
it.
do that, please?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks. So as of right today, no applicants.
Right, and talking about the pay scale, I think, in the budget, we did have budgeted for a new wage study.
Okay,
So that is something that could be looked at in the near future.
Okay. Court?
Remind me again, I think you just said them both, or was there 3 different entities that you're advertising with?
Or more than that.
Association of Oregon Counties, and then my notes say Oregon Government Finance Officers Association.
Haven't done that one yet.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to. I did send an email to them because previously we had login credentials under Julie Schmelzer, and I sent an email to them to get me those login credentials so I could post there.
And
but it's
on
like
our
governmentjobs.com.
Good, that's one I missed, thank you.
Indeed, our website.
It's probably the biggest one.
And AOC.
Yeah.
And it's on our website, you said.
Any other?
Are we into the government jobs category?
Any other questions? Dave, got a question?
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
David Barnes again, County Treasurer. I don't have so much of a question as a dilemma with process going forward. With our accounts payable, the process right now is that the claims come in from the departments. They're audited by the accounts payable person, Carrie. From there, they go to the finance director who reviews them and signs off on them. They go then to the commissioners, one of you, who reviews and signs off on them. And finally, they come across my desk. Losing the finance director, losing Brad in this process is a very important set of eyes as far as I'm concerned on everything. And I would urge this board that Commissioner Pash has offered to be the interim finance director. I would like to see, or he will, but I would like to see it set up so that claims go through Commissioner Pash for a signature as his finance director, and then one of you 2 commissioners reviews it as a commissioner, the basket as a commissioner, before it comes to me. There's not a week goes by that Brad and I don't ask questions about claims that come in, and I would like to keep that going. As we said, it's another set of eyes. It really helps with our checks and balances, and to assure that we're paying the right bills and we're not, our financials aren't getting compromised. So that's my concern in this whole matter.
Court had a question.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. But this is not for signature authority to sign on the accounts.
No.
This
No,
is
that's
just a
next.
second.
That comes next.
Thank you. So you just want another pair of eyes. I mean, I don't want to be taken out of the loop for the random approval of those baskets. I mean, that's very important to me, and I think that's a big part of our job. I don't think that should go to just one commissioner. Is that what you're
No.
No.
All right.
What I recommended was that Commissioner Pash would see them all, and then you and Commissioner Herzog would split the commissioner duties on signing
I
off as a
think
commissioner.
that's what you said before, so that's fine with me, yes.
And the other thing I want to make clear, I'm not sure that I'm at all qualified to do a lot of the interim finance director work, and that's why we would need, we're talking to some people up in Portland, but I can do a lot of the things like what Treasurer just said. I can double check invoices. You guys know me, I'll go digging and see if I can save some money on something, so I'll do that.
Well, don't we have those people in place? That are in
Excuse me?
that office, in accounting, our clerks with Miss Knight, Miss Dexter?
Yeah, but
And then Julie Swift's expertise and experience for many years here?
yeah, but then it went to Brad, and then it came to us.
Okay.
So
Nobody else left in the finance office has
we're-
managerial title.
yeah.
Which is, I would think, is required to sign off on things.
Fair enough.
So.
All right.
Do we have a time on that? I mean, like a few months, or it just depends until we get a rehire?
Until we get somebody else or Commissioner Pash's term ends.
Okay.
I would hope we have somebody long before that, but, it's something, like I said, it's a set of eyes that we desperately need to ensure the integrity of our financials. So.
Renee?
Renee Colon, County Clerk, for the record. I apologize, I just walked in on the conversation. So it sounds to me like the board is considering having a Board of Commissioner acting as the acting finance director?
No.
No, not
Interim acting finance director?
interim until Julie's got a couple people that she's gonna talk to tomorrow, it sounds like.
So my concern would be that we check into that as far as the ethics and the legalities of that concept before you go that direction, unless county council has already checked into that.
I have not.
And just so for historical note, our forefathers created our county general structure with the county clerk in charge of accounts payable for this exact reason, for checks and balances and a clear chain of command on those checks and balances. So if you, not that I'm saying I would help, but at this point, but if you want to seek some of my historical knowledge on how this maybe could work and accommodate what you're trying to do and still keep us
Legal.
So that's my first blush reaction to
Under
this.
the basket.
Yeah.
And so there.
Well,
I'm
don't-
happy to
don't-
help.
Don't walk away, so, yeah, that shows she's ready to help.
I'm fine with that. Send her the basket, and
Okay.
that's good. I'm just volunteer because it's got to get done.
I'm just, like I said, if it's fine and
Work
it's,
is
and
work.
it's legal and it's ethical for a county commissioner to also act as a finance director, that's fine. I just think we need to check into that.
No, I'm actually proposing that we hire, first thing when Brad and I talked about this, Brad said, we could look into Summer Sears, and I was like, absolutely, because that's an arm's length person. When she was not available, he said she mentioned a couple of people. I hope that works out. We're gonna have to pay them pretty good, I'm sure, but I hope it works out because I don't want that.
Yeah.
But it's just like when we had no treasurer. I was willing to step in and be a treasurer if I had to be. I'll go muck mud out of the sewers if I have to. I'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. That's why I volunteered.
Those are my concerns.
Okay.
Mr.
Well-
Chair, real quick.
Okay, we got a minute and a half because at 11 o'clock we got a public
Just the
hearing.
the
so-
sequence of the baskets and the accounts payable, accounting clerks, accounting clerks, not, I'm sorry. Accounting clerks, then it would go to the finance director, then it would go at random to one of the three commissioners.
Right.
Then it goes back to the treasurer, those 4 stages.
Yes.
That's really not gonna change, except, yes, so I'm just so the
Well, what-
public knows, and I'm confident that we're tending to business and
What Renee
handling properly.
But what Renee is suggesting is it goes from when it's done at the finance office over to the clerk's office and then to the.
I don't think that's what she said.
Is that what you
Well,
said?
that would be the interim finance directors, or that part of it. That would
My
be their-
concern was I was hearing that you were going to appoint a county commissioner, also interim finance director. That was my concern on whether or not that's appropriate. And we'll have county council check into that. It could be fine.
Okay, we're good.
But my historical note was back, our forefathers had created accounts payable where the county clerk was in charge of accounts payable. I was just giving you a historical note there. And if there's something that I can do, or our deputy clerks can do to help accommodate this transition, we would help. So we can talk further about what those details would be.
Okay. All right, so it's 11:38. The next thing on the agenda is I, signature authority for county accountants, David Barnes, treasurer.
Good morning again, David Barnes. Currently, Finance Director Rickert is has backup signatory authority on county accounts. He does not have what's called positive pay authority, which is where when the county writes a check, when I sign a check, I have to go into the bank and also do something called positive pay, which registers the check with the bank and authorizes it for payment. When Mr. Rickert leaves, I do not have a backup signer anymore. I've spoken to Mr. Pope and to Ms. Lee, and I would like to have the board authorize Rabia Lee to be the backup signer on county accounts. Just so that you know, the only time that I have required a backup signer was when I didn't feel right when I first started here, having my name be the payer, the signer, and then the endorser on my first paycheck. So I had Mr. Rickert sign it, but I've not called upon him to sign another one in the 16 months I've been here. So it's a seldom used thing, but it is something that we do need to have in place in case something happens. In the past, there's been issues where a check has need to be signed in an emergency. I haven't been here, and I only live around the corner, so I can get back here in a couple of minutes. But we do need to have somebody as a backup on the county accounts to be a signer.
Okay, any questions or comment?
County Clerk Renee Colon, again for the record, just another historical note. In the past, the Board of Commissioners have asked that the county clerk be an emergency signer on checks, and I have done that a few times. Like Treasurer Barnes says, it happens rarely, but in the past, it was the county clerk.
Okay.
So I think that would solve the problem.
Oh, let's give it to her, yeah.
Okay, look for a motion to that effect for signature authority.
Make a motion that the county clerk, be the backup signature authority on Curry County accounts.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 3-0. Sorry, I didn't hear you. Southwest Oregon Veterans Tour of Honor. Jay.
I won't take too long, Mr. Chair, but I'm sure excited about this. Let's see, I got some handouts for you here.
I don't want them.
Southwest Oregon has some of the nicest, most special, almost magical veterans memorials. And let me get it up. Oh, Mr. Jerome, we need our screen here.
Have we turned those on, Jay? Did you know?
They're on.
Oh, they are?
They were on.
For lack of a better description, I'm calling this a loop tour of honor for our veterans. Bear with us just for a moment here.
Is what?
Sorry, JJ.
All right.
So I'm asking for $5,000 basically on ARP funds. Let's just get right to the business here. Or it could be from TLT. I have not had a chance to involve our TLT staff and economic development staff. But if you start at basically, whoops, what do I have to do here? Good. I won't read all of this, but you can start anywhere at the 6 different facilities, and I've been to them all, and it is just incredible, fabulous. but you recognize this. You start at Gold Beach, head south on Highway 101, take 197 over to Grants Pass, go all the way to the Central Point, Visitors War Memorial, honoring all those servicemen, living and dead, who served our nation. I got to get a different pair of glasses. And if you haven't been to here, I think maybe this is my favorite. I've been there several times. I've had my grandkids there. It is just, it's been there about 15 years now, and it's just an incredible place. And if you haven't been to the Eagle Point Cemetery, equally heart-wrenching, the tremendous rows of tombstones. And so this is your third stop in the tour. You know, my vision is eventually to have motorcycle groups, a lot of veterans groups that would go. So as you leave Eagle Point, come down the back way through Sam's Valley and head to Merlin, which is of course at just off the Grants Pass Airport. Another fabulous place. Merlin. I took my oldest grandson here. I started to get choked up there a little bit. Now you're on I-5, back on I-5, and you go to the Veterans Foreign War Remembrance Wall in Roseburg. You want to spend at least 45 minutes there, maybe an hour and a half. And then Highway 38 through Riddle, through Elkton, Reedsport, down 101 to North Bend. And my youngest grandson got to read this for me. He's only 7, and he read every word on this, and it was a Bible verse too that was very special. Back to Gold Beach. I can promise you that all 6 of the armed services are very well represented. The Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, National Guard, Coast Guard, Merchant Marines. And then, and hopefully this will develop over time to where there's a lot of other smaller memorials that I didn't include in these 6, but I think we could get that word out to the public. And for example, Myrtle Creek, another one in Roseburg, another one in Brookings, certainly Coos Bay. And so there you have it. I give you printed information there. I just would like to encourage the board, our county, to promote this. Again, it can start any one place, and you can go. Obviously, you can go counterclockwise, or you can go clockwise. But you could easily do it in a day if you stayed focused. And it's if you haven't been to these, make it a point, and encourage other people. Tremendously special. So yes, I'm asking the board for basically the 5,000, up to 5,000, which would connect and brochures, website, perhaps, just to get it started. And of course, we should go to the other counties, and I think that's inevitable, and I just have not had time to do that yet.
Chris?
Well, I don't know why we wouldn't go through TLT or the Summer Madison community development. They're spending a lot of money right now, of TLT money, advertising in magazines to come to the Oregon coast, to come to Gold Beach, come to Curry County. Just include this in that rather than put up $5,000 and do this. You'd get a lot more exposure.
Yeah.
Just to work with Miss Madison and ask her to include some of what you'd like to see here in one of the advertisements, and I'm sure she'd probably be willing to do that. You get a lot more exposure. You get national exposure rather than just some fold-up handouts.
Well, we do brochures for our visitor program. We do all the above. And as I said, I just haven't had a chance, but I referenced that I was going to go to them and get their input. We've just been busy on a lot of other projects. So I want to get this before the board. I've not brought it before the board in the past. And so $5,000 out of $4.4 million is pretty much a drop in the bucket, but it's seed money. And it'd be a good message to the other 5 counties. And so I'm asking the board to, that gives TLT, if in fact they wanted to take this project on, I assume that they would have interest, but you know, it gives us a certain amount of credibility that we're taking this real serious, and let's don't put it off.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir. How about that?
So, Court, I'm going to just say, I'll second it just to go to discussion. I think we got to have that discussion with economic development prior to this, prior to your motion, you know, to moving this forward, because that's what they do, and yeah. So that's my 2 cents.
So the vote is no today, without incorporating.
Yeah, get economic development involved in the tourism.
So then why don't we do it out of ARP funds and make that a condition that we get as many people in this building interested and involved as possible. You know, one thing about Director Smelzer, she at one time wanted to paint these blank walls here with veteran collages, and I wish we'd have followed up on that. We didn't get a chance, but that's what I don't want this to drop for lack of interest or lack of commitment.
I don't want to drop either, but I would like to hear what they have to say in a cost to move this forward, or just their ideas on.
So how about a pledge of $5,000 of seed money just until we get that work done?
I don't.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor.
And I'll retract my second if you'll retract your motion till the next meeting, or, you know, to.
No, I wanted a commitment out of the board today, just to even have some kind of encouragement and focus that this is a good project and has a lot of merit behind it. So no, I won't withdraw my motion. So there's no second, Mr. Chair?
No.
Okay.
So moving forward is ARP funding, Curry County School Safety, Curry Volunteer Fire Departments, and Curry Ports.
I know you're busy, if I may, Mr. Chair, I know you're both busy reading till late last night. I assume that you read this agenda item?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about, you know, I don't even know where to start on the school thing. Yeah, I went directly to the 3 superintendents the next day after the almost. Huh? Uvalde?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. I went to the 3 school superintendents immediately the next day, and I was very pleasantly surprised the amount of work that they have done to date in the preparation with the various law enforcement agencies we have. It was really a breath of fresh air, and so they need to be encouraged. They need to see the county has a vested interest in where we go from here. It could happen in any school. It could happen in any state. We'll never forget what happened in Thurston several years ago. And if anybody has the time, listen to a presentation by Matthew Actor McConaughey, where he was at the White House yesterday. Go in with an open mind, but as you do, you'll see the emotional connection that he makes as a father, as a citizen, as a gun rights activist. He's basically saying in a very wise, prudent way, something has to be done. Something has to be done. Where can we agree? His presentation is just tremendous. And he was born in Uvalde, so he knows the area very, very well. And he had some good ideas on the Second Amendment, much greater level of protection for the schools. So again, $50,000, Mr. Chair, out of the American Rescue Plan funding, to pledge to the schools that they could come to us and say, yeah, we need these doors fixed, or we need these doors upgraded. We need different cameras. If you read the information that, especially the Gold Beach and Central Curry and the South Curry School District, the information that they laid out there in the press release, they are on top of this, but they're always going to need funding. And I'm just asking the county to take a serious look at, yeah, we got our priorities right. You know, this is something we can and should do, and be focused on, and tell the whole world that we're secure. At least we're doing everything we possibly can within our 3 school systems to be secure. So that's $50,000 in the Curry Volunteer Fire Departments. $150,000 is absolutely nothing if you implemented it, appropriated it with the traditional population base, which is South County 61%, Central 28%, North County 11%. That would send a great message for them, help in recruiting, to help in equipment. Again, it's a pledge. It's not just a blank check, go spend it where you want it. But we have, with Tyson Krieger in Central, Jim Watson in South, and David Duncan in North County, we have 3 really good leaders there. And I would have tremendous confidence in their commitment, in their commitment, also their honesty, and they would come to us when they had legitimate projects. I'm speeding up here just a little bit, and then, you know, I'm going to keep pushing for the ports. We have 3 of the most unique ports anywhere on the Oregon coast. I've included in the agenda packet a letter from each of the 3 ports with the help that they need. The money was, American Rescue Plan funding was originally designed for infrastructure in addition to the COVID, the entire issue there with the losses due to COVID and economic, all the above. I hope you had time to read those letters. They were submitted a year ago, almost a year ago, and 150,000 split 50,000 each way. Port Orford just got a grant for new cranes. Those cranes are 50 years old, and so that's a gigantic thing. They're having a little trouble with operating. Everything we do for the ports, for the schools, for the fire departments, will help to open up grant opportunities from both the state and federal level. That goes with our Rogue Siskiyou Regional Fire Training Center, all the above. I'll conclude with this. Anybody that wants to just go to the ocean, turn your back to the ocean and look anywhere in this county and look straight east, you see how dense the forest is here. We are at unbelievable risk. And thank God we had the fire departments. We're having a meeting tomorrow night at the event center, the showcase, and it's our 6th annual fire awareness meeting. And thank God we had the people, the firefighting professionals that we have here. But we need to make their jobs easier, and we can. And it comes under the heading of funding. And so I abbreviated as much as I could, Mr. Chair. And these 3 are part of the 800,000 we had confirmed. That's also in my agenda item that we confirmed is available. And so, you know, it's a total of, what is it, 350,000, I think I'm drawing a blank. Yes, 350,000. There's nothing more important than the schools and the fire, and I'd like to get your agreement that the ports are at least in the top 5 with what they're dealing with on an economy, all the above. We're getting our port dredged all summer long in Gold Beach, the cranes in Port Orford, Brookings, their wastewater treatment plant, all good stuff. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Question? Comment?
Well, I have comments on it.
Okay.
There's some of the school stuff that I wouldn't talk about in open session. I could relay some information to this board in executive session, but there's more in place with the schools than we know about. They do some things with the sheriffs, state police, local police departments that is planning for the horribly expectant, because we can all expect that this could happen here too. As far as the fire district are concerned, again, here's another thing with this consolidation. You know, we want to give, let's say, 60, 40, 15, or what, 60, 30, 15, or whatever it was for the fire departments for each area. Wedderburn Fire District has $1.2 million sitting in the bank. So why do we want to give the Central County Fire Districts more money when some of these districts have excess money? And this is what we're talking about with consolidation of districts. If you can consolidate these districts, yes, that money goes back to the taxpayer, but it becomes an easy sell to Mr. Taxpayer to rewrite that district at a high enough percentage to make sure that all the resources are met. So currently, I wouldn't do anything with fire districts because I'm hoping that some of this stuff can happen pretty quickly. As far as our schools go, the doors and stuff on schools, I would like to see a plan in place before we just go hand them a check and say, here it is. I would love to see a one entry into all schools, and emergency exits out, but one entry into all schools, and a staff to man them doors. Those kind of things are a great starting point. And I did listen to McConaughey yesterday, and he made some good points. But to just hand them a check for money, I'm not open to do that. And it's that's just where I am with it right now.
Court?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Pash, did you not hear me say it would be a pledge and they would come to us when they have legitimate projects? Did you not hear me say that?
Well, I don't know why we would need to make a pledge, though. Because the money's sitting there, if they come up with something concrete that they want to do, then come to us and ask us. Well, why do we have to pledge the money?
I'm sorry, it's a message we send. Okay, and then the fire departments, can you name one of the other 15 fire departments that really have a surplus?
I haven't
locally?
been to the clerk's office and looked at the budgets in about 1.5 years, so I really couldn't tell you what their surpluses are right now. I know the library down in South County had almost $2 million, and now they've spent about $1.5 million of it remodeling because they were afraid that we might take it from them.
We're not talking about libraries, Commissioner Pash. We're talking about fire departments. There's 15 of them. You made the statement that there's several of them have plenty of money. Words to that effect. I am paraphrasing a little bit. The only one I know of that has a surplus of money is Wedderburn.
I never said that there's a lot of them or several of them that have a surplus of money. All I spoke to is the budget of the fire district that I'm elected to. That's all I spoke to, was the one that I sit on that has $1.2 million.
No,
that's all I said.
Okay, we'll go back and look at that. But do you agree then that the other 14 could use some help?
I don't know. I haven't been to the clerk's office to look at their budget.
So if we make a pledge and we let those 3 qualified people come back to us and say, hey, we need a new tender over here. You know, $150,000 you pledged a year ago or 6 months ago or 5 years ago. That's all I'm asking. What is more important than fire? Can you, in the kids' safety? Can you name something?
I'm not saying it's not. All I'm saying to you, sir, is we don't need to make a pledge. Well, all we have to do is if they come to us with a problem, then that's for this board to decide.
So then the money will be gone. That's
all
my
I have
biggest
to say,
concern, the way we spend around here. So your answer is no. You're not wanting to put up even $50,000 for the 3 school districts. Is that correct?
I said let the school districts bring a plan to us, a construction plan, an idea of whatever they have, and let the board decide if that's money that they would like to spend that monny on.
It doesn't work that way.
It does work that way.
No, it doesn't.
So the ports has letters. This is what we would do.
Now, excuse me, the ports are different. I do want to hand them a $50,000 check.
Right, because they're not a special district, right? Are they?
Yes, they are.
They are special districts?
Yes, and they all get federal funding. None of the other districts get federal funding. Ports get federal funding.
We give them we give them encouragement and a little bit of revenue. That tells the state and federal people, hey, they're together down there. They're trying to solve problems. They're trying to overcome, and here's how we can help. It's like the road fund doing 10%. So your answer on the fire departments is no too. Is that correct? Or can I make a motion, Mr. Chair?
Well, just a second, we're still in discussion.
It's lunchtime too, just so you know.
And it's 12:02.
Well, we can carry it on after lunch if you like.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's take a break. Adjourn this till 1 o'clock. 58 minutes. 1:10. We can make it 1:10.
Never asked, but I've got something I got to do.
Okay. All right. 1:10.
If those are brownies, you're in trouble. We were all late getting our lunch today.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back. Lunch is over. We're resuming this meeting. We are still on 6K ARP funding, Curry County School Safety, Curry Volunteer Fire Departments, and Curry Ports. Commissioner Boyce.
Thank you. Just finishing up where we left off before lunch, Chair Herzog. If anyone has interest, or the community wants to go and find this agenda item on our meeting today for June 8th, 2022, we have $4.4 million that we have for American Rescue Plan funds that basically is at our discretion. I've turned in many what I feel are responsible. This won't take too long, Mr. Chair, but many responsible measures. We've put $500,000 towards housing pledge. We pledged $100,000 towards employee quarantine. And I've asked the board here, and I'm going to make a motion if I can, Mr. Chair, at this point, and that is Curry County School District's additional security and safety measures for $15,000, which would basically be split. My apologies. Three ways. Yeah.
15 or 50? You said
50. 50,000. It'd be 61% for South County, 28% for Central Curry County, and 11% for North County. You can measure it on enrollment. That might slightly affect the percentages. The second one I've asked for in American Rescue Plan funding is the proper term, is for volunteer fire departments. We have 15 in Curry County, and emphasis on the volunteer. They're not paid. Sometimes they even have to pay for their own training. And so that $150,000 would be split the same, 61% South County, 28% Central County, and 11% North County. And then the three ports, I'm very, very excited about the work that's being done, and they have excellent board of commissioners on those three ports, and well managed, but they're always up against it. And the original emphasis for the American Rescue Plan funding was for infrastructure, and boy, they have some infrastructure projects in this agenda item. If the public's interested, it has a letter from each one, and I just really encourage anyone to read that might have the time. So board, my motion is $50,000 for the schools, American Rescue Plan funding. Curry County Volunteer Fire Department's $150,000, and Curry County Ports $150,000. The only difference is the ports would be split, would be my recommendation for $50,000 for each one. They're all basically the same size. So there's my motion, Mr. Chair.
All right. Got a motion. Do I hear a second? Hearing no second, would you consider changing that motion to a pledge? So, in my thinking here, and I don't know if I'm out of line as far as Robert's Rules of Order, is to pledge that money and then have these folks come before us and say, this is what I need.
Absolutely. I would be glad to amend that, and there's nothing
come to a board meeting and say, this is there's X amount of dollars that has been pledged, and this is what I have planned for it. If you would.
So what if I did, in the interest of your recommendation there, what if I did one at a time in a motion? Or do you want to keep them all in one motion and just amend that?
You could do it, whatever.
Well, you heard me many times say pledge in my presentation prior to lunch, but I can
the previous thing, not this one. Huh? Was it in this one too? You said pledge.
I referenced pledge several times.
Okay. Well then.
So
okay.
That's my vision. That's my approach to. This is probably 2% of that entire $4.4 million for those three projects. Everybody knows, I think most everybody knows, fire's number one, kid safety is eclipsed that as number one, NASA fire's number two, and port infrastructure is a very easy sell to the public as far as infrastructure and just bringing the county together. I think it gives us tremendous opportunities there. So is my motion clear then? Do you want me to just add the word pledge?
Yeah, if you could.
Okay, so board, I make the motion that we appropriate out of the American Rescue Plan funding, $50,000 for the schools, pledge, Curry County Volunteer Fire Departments, $150,000 pledge, you know the percentages, and then the Curry County Ports, $150,000 pledge, and that would be $50,000, up to $50,000 for each of the 3 ports.
I'll second that motion. Oh, Dave? Second that motion. Discussion.
$350,000, this is closer to 9% of the total that we're getting. And it also represents about 33% of the remaining money after the money that was committed to the budget. There's approximately $1 million left, so you're taking over a third of that. You are now committing with an indefinite time frame that can't be used for anything else. If that's the way you want to go with this, that's okay. I'd like you to see you put a sunset on this. I'd prefer to see you ask the ports and the fire departments and the schools, if you need the money, come to us. If you need money for something, come to us and let us know without making it into a pledge type of situation. You know, you can tell them that the money is available here. If you need some, come ask us for it. But to pledge it means you've committed it. And that means you can't spend it on anything else if something else comes up that you decide that you need it for.
Because we pledged stuff already, right?
You pledged, that's the money that you've pledged to allocate to the certain groups. You've pledged that already. That money's now tied up. I went into the report that I submitted to the Treasury.
Do we have a list of those pledges?
There is one around.
I gave it to you earlier. So, to me, Mr. Chair, I'm going to keep, that's what I gave you as a copy earlier. There it is right there.
There it is.
So, this is priorities. I just don't know how you could find a higher priority. I incorporated the word pledge. The ports have already sent us letters specific to what they would use the money for, especially the Port of Port Orford. They have, they're somewhat counting on us. And so, you know, it takes, and if it was 400,000 of the 4.4 million, that would be about 8%. So I think you're off a little bit, but you might be close. 4.4 million. If it was, let's say 300, if it was 440,000, that would be 10%. We're at 350,000 here, so I'm looking at about 8%.
9.
I'm just figuring in my head here.
Me too, almost 9%.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you.
You guys are smarter than I am.
So I was close though, right?
Yes, you were. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're rounding up. You're rounding down. I'm rounding up.
Fair enough.
It's rounding errors.
Okay.
Thank you.
So my motion stands, and you seconded, but where do we go from there, Mr. Chair?
Now it's discussion.
Okay.
Chris?
Again, our ports have access to a lot of federal money. There's a lot of federal grants every year that come up. There's actually ARP designated, money designated federally for ports alone. And we know one thing. We know that when they say no, doesn't mean no. That means you got to go back and pound on different doors. I mean, those dredges are sitting right now in the mouth of the Rogue River. Guess why? Because people continue to go to Washington and holler that this river needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
And finally somebody listened. It's not an easy fight. These things are not easy fights. And sometimes you got to say, hey, we're here and I want to fight. So there's a lot of federal money for ports, and I just don't want to give people a reason to spend money. Oh, commissioners are saying there's 150 grand there. Let's go figure out a way to spend it.
Oh my goodness. Do you know any of the board members?
I'm not.
You wouldn't make a comment like that if you did. You know, it's like saying they're going to just do something que sera. I'm just really surprised. We have a motion, Mr. Chair. I don't want to argue about this anymore. As far as going to Washington, D.C.
So, can I finish talking now? Because I was talking and you interrupted me without doing the Robert's Rules of Orders that you chastised me for earlier.
All right, guys.
So, all I'm trying to say is, you know, I just hate to put this out there like we're doing it. We're just, the schools, I could actually see offering help to schools. Let them come to us with a plan first, though, and say, look, we'd like to change our door system. We'd like to change an alarm, put alarms on doors or something. Yeah. To allocate money for something like that, yes, but.
The motion just, ma'am, Mr. Chair, the motion just reflected exactly what he said. They will come to us after we, I don't know how else I can lobby
Have
for
a vote
this.
then.
It's rational and it's the highest priorities. Fire and kids, I just don't know what else we could do. You know, housing is, like I say, public, we allocated $500,000 for housing, okay? Is that a higher priority? Some could say it is, but not more of our kids in fire. And I'm asking for $350 for 3 important collective groups.
Okay, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
No.
No. Motion carries 2-0.
Motion fails.
No, motion fails, I'm sorry, 1-2. And I want these people in this room asking, so that's so moving on, 5F on consent agenda, award of audit proposal is now 6L, and is that Brad or?
Commissioner Boyce had questions, he said.
Okay. Audit proposal.
Was that on Moss Adams?
I don't.
This is on the audit proposal that was on the consent agenda that you.
So it went up to 87, over 80 per year, is that right? As far as you know, Council Pope. So why the raise? Any explanation?
No, but we did put out for bids. We published, and they were the only ones that responded with a bid. I know that Brad was the one that was, working through that process, so he probably has specific answers.
Go ahead, sir. Yep, I'm sorry.
So yeah, we followed the procurement rules that we have set in place. We've noticed it in the papers, and we kind of went above and beyond that and sent it out to 3 audit firms, and we only got 1 response back, and that was from Moss Adams. So what you see before you is the proposal that they gave us comes to about $87,000 for next year's audit. I'm unclear on what you were meaning earlier about it's up from 80 to 87.
I'm sorry, say that again.
It was your question to Anthony or to somebody.
Oh, 87, last year was 80, is that correct? So
we've paid out about 85, 86,000.
Okay, I didn't know, I just heard 80,000.
Most recent audit.
So is that is that a firm bid for 3 consecutive years? I mean, we're going into an agreement with them, right?
That is, it is a 1 year, $87,000 is for 1 year. So each year would be, this next year would be $87,000. The following year would be,
who knows?
Probably their 2% increase or something.
89 or something, yeah.
Okay.
Like all companies do.
They sent you, if I may, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
They sent you a corrective action plan for year ended June 30th, 2021. I was very glad to get this. Have you seen a corrective action plan for year ending 2020?
Yes, we all have.
No, I have not seen it.
For 2020?
Yeah.
You're talking about 2 years ago.
Excuse me. No, this is fiscal year. I'm looking at this.
2021 is what you're...
Fiscal year ended June 30th, 2021. I'm talking about last fiscal year, 2020.
Yes, you're talking the...
Okay, but I haven't seen that corrective action plan.
Yes, you have.
Huh?
Yes, you have.
Okay, it looks something like this?
Yep.
Okay, I have no record of this.
What are you holding in your hand?
I'm talking about the previous year when you recommended that they did have a couple things that they suggested within their findings and their audit in terms of, more efficiencies and different ways to go. So I'm asking for fiscal year ended June 30th, 2020 corrective action plan. I assume they provided you that. Maybe you haven't seen it.
Is
that 1920?
I'm a bit confused by your
Okay, I'm going to try one more time. Corrective action plan, fiscal year ended June 30th, 2020. This is 2021.
So
I'm just asking
That's what I asked earlier. You want the 2020.
I thought I made that clear from the very beginning. I apologize. Do you have that available?
I'm sure we can find that.
Okay. That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
For year end 2020. Thank you.
Okay.
Because that year was before I was here and before you were here, right?
He came in November of 2020.
I was here for the wrap-up of that audit.
Okay.
It's just, you did reference one, but it was pretty minor, so I thought that's maybe why there wasn't something printed or, you know, that they had specific. It looks to me like they've done a really good job, though, for this year.
They do a really good job for every year.
Well, okay, but I don't have any reference to go back. That's all I'm saying, Mr. Rickard.
Okay.
That's all.
So Brad, I got a question. When it says this is to award a contract for the county's financial audit services for the next 3 years to Moss Adams, after following the county's contracting rules, we only received one response. We are expected to get started and the fees associated with the 2022 audit are $87,550. So that doesn't mean we're going to get $87,550 for 3 years, right?
No,
Okay,
that's the cost for 1 year.
Okay.
But the contract that we'd like to enter into would be for a 3-year contract, so we don't have to go out for RFP every single year and do this process.
So they're going to get a cost of living raise. Say no more. I will.
How's that said?
Move on. So I apologize for that.
I'm not done, if I may, Mr. Chair. I didn't know if you read it.
Huddling in the hallway.
And we have at 2 o'clock, correct, on our workshop?
Yes, we do.
Oh,
and we
I
got
think we're okay.
We got some
Director Rickard, I have just one more thing, if I may, Mr. Chair. In the matter of a resolution adopting a corrective action plan, didn't we need to work on that today and approve that?
You did approve that.
Okay. Am I looking at the wrong date?
Well, we didn't. So that we moved that item from consent to this to discussion.
The corrective action plan?
That's something different.
Oh, is that something different?
Still.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's not on the agenda, but the reason I ask, I think you probably want us to do that, correct?
The corrective action plan was B on the consent agenda, sir.
Okay. Yep. It's cap.
Already approved it.
You're confirming that?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
It
so
says
I
cap.
want to ask a couple questions about this real quick while you're at the podium. The third whereas, Exhibit A, outlines a corrective action to correct the material findings that will help improve the county's financial stability. See, I don't remember getting anything like this last year. I'm not saying that I didn't see it, I just don't remember. Minimize legal issues.
Would have had to have been approved before, because it was all sent to the state. There has to be a board order that accompanies that accompanies the corrective action plan when it's sent to the state.
Okay, so you can provide that as well as the one for this year. I mean,
Well, you have the one for this year.
I'm sorry,
if you
but
need the one for last year, I can dig around and find that.
And if we had a resolution to adopt it from last year as a corrective action plan, because that's all news to me.
Yeah, it's all recorded.
It says minimize legal issues. Do you know what they're talking about there? Because I didn't see that in this year's corrective action plan.
I'd have to look at it.
So you're not sure what they're talking about minimizing legal issues?
I would need to read the whole thing.
Okay. And show the public the county is doing everything within their ability to be good stewards of the public monies. Okay, so you wrote that, I assume?
I would need to look at it.
Okay,
Can I
this
see
is
it?
a resolution. Sure. This is what you want us to, this is what we apparently approved in the consent agenda, so I apologize if I missed that. I was going to tell you, it's fairly well written. I just didn't know if you wrote it, Mr. Rickard. I assumed you
Dave
did,
writes it.
or if it was Moss Adams. I didn't. So,
If you'd like, Brad, we could go to executive session and come back and revisit this.
Oh, no, I'd rather get it done now.
Okay.
I don't want to come back.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, and the resolution is pretty standard. I probably just pulled it from the previous time that you guys signed
That's fine.
the other resolution.
That's fine. I just wondered if, you can understand why I just wondered if Moss Adams felt like they recognized some legal issues here that could have been avoided. That's all. So,
Yeah, Moss Adams did not write that.
okay, thank you.
So we have a motion and a second?
We do, don't we?
No, we don't.
No, I'll entertain a motion.
This is to award the audit proposal.
Yep.
Is that the motion?
I make a motion to award the audit proposal as stated in consent agenda to Moss Adams.
Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any question, comment? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0. Okay, now we're gonna go into executive session.
We have commissioner comments.
Commissioner comments, that's right. Commissioner Pash.
As I just stated a while ago, you can see the dredgers are in the river. They are to take, from what we hope, they are to take all the rock from basically the mouth of the river, on the south side of the river, all the way to the bridge, and then clean out the channel there, and clean out the mouth of the port for our for the Port of Gold Beach. And also it is in the works right now to, as I've stated previously, to extend the wall as originally drawn back in the
jetty, you mean?
50s. Yeah, the jetty wall.
Okay.
All the way out, back out into the ocean as it was originally drawn. And that, I was told that we are number 2 in the state right now to get that done. And the plans are being revisited as we speak. That's all I have.
Good news. Court?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, I'm going to hand out, this is an update from Columbia, Tillamook, and Clatsop counties on their water planning through AOC. I presented this to you twice in the last year, the $25,000 for AOC planning, bring in the entire community. I just want to offer to you how far we already are behind. And if you don't trust my judgment on this, get to know those 9 commissioners in those 3 counties, because they are on it, and they're going to be serving their people with all kinds of water needs. They're set for grant writing, grant applications, and doing very well. So just want to brag about AOC a little bit, and also say it's not too late for us. Not too late for us. Let's see, the CFLR, I'll just report on that next week. The Collaborative Forest Landscape Restoration Grant between us, Josephine, and Jackson County. We got $3 million, and that's just the beginning for fuels abatement, other projects related. Treasurer Barnes, not too long ago, had a not very complimentary comment about AOC, Association of Oregon Counties. If you knew the work they've done for us on sod, if you knew the work they've done for us on water, housing, that was Greg Wolf, who is now retired. I worked with him for 2 years. CIS insurance, certainly veterans, legislative work, roads, I mean, much more, including the Oregon Coast Trail. I'll save us some time today, but I'll give a report on that on the 22nd. 352 miles of the Oregon coast, 28 cities and 7 counties. Tremendous load of details that includes trail alignment, state, federal, tribal wetlands, lots of public involvement. Tomorrow night we're having our 6th annual fire awareness and prevention meeting at the, as I mentioned earlier today, at the event center. Our Curry County Housing Committee is making progress. Hang in just a little bit longer. I think we're doing well. It's taken some time to overcome some things, but I feel really good about that. And I think that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. We're going to go into executive session now. Do I need to read all those, Anthony? Okay. So I'll ask the public to get out, except, so we'll do Dyer.
Yeah, we can do that first.
Okay, welcome back. We have ended our workshop and we are ended our executive session, and we are back in regular meeting, and we have 3 hire orders to approve. I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to hire new facilities maintenance worker A.
Second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
And all in favor say yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-0.
Facilities, I make a motion to hire a facilities maintenance worker B.
Second?
Second, Chair Herzog.
All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
And I make a
3-0.
motion to hire a litter patrol crew leader.
And second? All in favor
Second,
say
Mr.
aye.
Chair.
Okay. All in favor say yes.
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 And all in favor of adjourning say yes.
Yes.
And
Good,
amen.
good day, good day.
Was a good day.
All righty.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Fire on the landscape when it's cooler and not during fire season to reduce these same fuels that are giving us so much fits during the fire season.
Bob Horton, I'm the fire chief of Jackson County Fire District 3 in Southern Oregon. The challenges that are facing us in terms of the mega fires and the wildfires that we've been experiencing out in this valley, particularly in the last couple of years, but across the state and across the region, incredibly concerning to us in the fire community, those in our communities in general, our constituents and our patrons are extremely concerned, as they ought to be. And really the takeaway from the work that's being done now is this is an extraordinary collaboration of dozens on dozens